that other people didn't think to put them in. Did Rakim say some of my rap patterns still surround Saturn? Think about that for a lyric, right? The maximum amount of information in one bar. Some of my rap patterns still surround Saturn.
Hey, Rob, what was it, Chub Rock? I remember Chub Rock, the heavy set.
1990, Chubb Rock jumps up on the scene with the green and the hardcore dream. The dream wasn't crafted to be pornographic.
There you go. There you go. Oh, shit. Oh, man. Damn, man. Oh, man. Reminiscing on our music. What was the hook of that song? Do you remember the hook of that track right there? The one you
Treat him right. Go treat him right.
go, 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 go.
Yeah.
Woo, woo, woo. They be like, woo, woo, woo. Treat him right. See, y'all, I know some of this. Yo, damn, man. Oh, man. Yo, this is a beautiful thing, man, to reminisce on music. Oh, man. That's what they did in the movie Sinners, y'all. Oh, man, that's a beautiful thing. Right. So let me ask you this, man. Having a good time as usual. Shout out to everybody in the chat. We got 3,800 people in the chat. I gotta ask you, man. Before I go there, because I was gonna go to the whole September thing and the Virgo season and how things are lining up and all of that. And it's interesting. Well, let me say this. What's interesting, Ron? Let me say this. You did a show with me. What's this? 2025, so-called 2020. I think the beginning of 2024, we did a show in the beginning of the year, and you was like, "Yo, we entered the golden age." And you was like, what was that name? The Marahabata? What was it called?
The Maherta.
Maherta. It was the Maherta, right? And you was telling people about how we got ushered into the golden age. One of the first things Trump said, since we're talking about Trump, when he became president, he said he's going to bring us into the golden age. Who does Trump, for Trump to be doing the shit you talking about, Rod, man, who does Trump work for, man? You talk about Larry Hoover, Trump getting into this Larry Hoover shit. You talk about the golden age, Trump talk about the gold. Who Trump work for, man? We be saying this shit, man. Who Trump work for? How? Because he be into some esoteric shit, I see. Even the way he talks about magic and the way he manifests things into this realm. Who does this man work for, brother?
He's working for military high command. The military high command is right now operating not in the Pentagon. Everybody that's in the Pentagon is isolated. That's where the traitors at.
Okay.
The people that Trump worked for is in Colorado and Raven Rock, in where if something happens, they're supposed to usher all of the most important people on the land into the bunker. Like in case of nuclear war, that's not going to happen. But it has happened before, but it ain't going to happen because it's not required. It's not necessary. But he worked for military high command transitional government team. They're commonly referred to as the White Hats. And there was a group of military generals and admirals who had retired. Some of them were still in, but they had discovered the fraud. They had discovered the fictitious nature of the government, and they needed to come up with a strategic program in order to give the land back to the caretakers, which was the tribes. The problem now is not giving the land back to the tribes. The problem is if you give the land back to the tribes, they don't remember what to do with it. So you have to do everything in what they call drip fashion. Instead of come a point, though, where the drip is going to turn into the floodgates busting open. And that's when we're going to get a lot of information that's going to verify what we can't give you receipts for, right? Like the Gitmo. It's in print who's been executed at Gitmo, but the general conditioned public that's been subject to years of propaganda abuse, they don't accept that as valid because it didn't come on NBC, CBS, ABC, CNN, Nightline, Dateline, Fox. Since it didn't come from no source, they consider the source as an unreliable source, even if the reporter that's reporting it is on the registry as a reporter and have the reporter credentials and it's sitting there in the tribunals while they taking place, the people still don't believe that it took place because they didn't see it yet on their mainstream media. Remember, I told you at the end, all of your favorite newscasters that work for the CIA gonna be gone. And then you're gonna have another group of news reporters that's gonna come in and they gonna be truthers. And they gonna be telling you news that the news normally wouldn't tell you. That's how you gonna know that the major upper 90% of the switch is taking place when the newscast change. The next thing you gotta look for is when they replace the police, the foreign military force with the National Guard, because they know foreigners don't have more right than the people of the land to police the land. So in order to get rid of the foreign agents, you have to put National Guard in their stead until they can balance out the community again and get rid of crime.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, Rod. What's the deal with Larry Hoover? People, Kanye West talked about him a lot. I just mentioned Chance the Rapper said something about him. These are individuals that's from Chicago. Chicago's always in the news for some negative shit. They make it seem like they call it Chirac. They make it seem like you go to don't ever go to Chicago. You talked about who they vilify is somebody we need to look toward, and who they praise somebody we need to not support in terms of the media. For them to vilify and make Chicago look so horrible, like I'll give you an example. I hear so much things about New York and it sits on crystals, and this is why New York is so the Empire State or whatever. What the hell is it about Chicago that we may not be aware of, that our ancestors knew, that they know, that they don't want us there, that produces people like a Larry Hoover? Talk to me about Chicago and the history from our ancestors way back, whatever. Some spiritual, metaphysical talk, Rod, because there's something about this, the Nation of Islam, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad. I could go on and on about Chicago, but what is it about Chicago, spiritually speaking, Rod?
All of these major cities, Chicago, New York, New Orleans, Miami, Atlanta, LA, Las Vegas, lesser Vegas than some of the other ones, but they all sitting on ancient metropolises. Those were cities long before Columbus ever got over here.
Okay.
Right? Chicago was a city long before John Baptiste du Sable was born.
Yeah, somebody saying Chicago is Haitian territory. What the hell? Yeah. Is that
that's Baptiste du Sable? He was Haitian. And they give him credit with being the founder of Chicago. Mm-hmm. But the reason why Chicago was sparsely populated, because all of the people in Chicago, just like a lot of other major cities, went to Florida to fight in the Gullah Wars. That's why they couldn't beat us. Right now, the government know that we had what was called Grand Doula Centers. The Grand Doula Center in Chicago used to be exactly where Cook County Hospital was. Ancient souls tend to come back to the certain places based on when they're going to be born. So they follow the metropolis's stellar alignment. Every city has a zodiac sign, right? Based on birth date, or what they call date of charter. And the corporate charters have an expiration date, but they don't tell us that all of this stuff have an expiration date. But this is the reason why Congress did the 400-year recognition. That was recognition in 2019 of 400 years of warfare, of invasion and colonization by what they call the Israelites. We know we naturally godly people, but we also are aware tribally that God don't favor rod over rich or rich over rod. But rich and rod both have a different job in the overall scheme, and God wants us both to do our job as effectively as possible and sometimes it bring people together, but sometimes it divide people and separate them. When you're talking about the proper conditions for a leader to rise up from an oppressed people, they have to have a strong congregation of the people that's oppressed in order for it to be a fertile soil for a new leadership to rise up. You have to live through the experience of the condition in order to figure out how to solve the condition, right? So if you don't know how to, if you didn't come from an area, you don't really understand a problem until you go there and spend some time there,
Okay.
right? So, like New York, the five boroughs, the five different tribes that made up the boroughs before colonization.
Mm-hmm.
It was a five tribe confederacy. It's the
Mm-hmm.
same way that the Iroquois had one and the Cherokee had one. But the tribes that was touched up against each other made agreements to prevent war. We didn't need war. We knew how to communicate with each other. We knew how to talk. We knew how to respect each other. We knew how to honor each other with rights to dissent from what our opinion is without getting all blowed out of shape. Now, a dude come to you can run this whole broken plan down about breaking into the bank in the middle of the night and robbing the vault. That's not gonna happen. But as soon as you tell them that's not gonna happen, oh man, you a hater,
Yeah, man.
right? Because it's conditioning. But when you go to any part of the country, we had major. You could still see the mounds. Everywhere you see a mound, that used to be a city.
Mm.
The mounds was created as a centerpiece of a city, right? It's easier to see it in Mesoamerica than it is where the foliage has covered it up with greenery in the main north and south. Like it's a whole monkey village under the forest in the Amazon.
Mm.
It's a Hanuman village actually, but they call it the monkey village. Hanuman is another name for Tahuti.
What's another
It
name?
is what you call Hanuman.
Okay.
Hanuman is spoke about in the Ramayana as a companion to Lord Ram,
Mm-hmm.
right? But in China, they call him Sun Wukong. Same character, different culture, right? And the monkeys is symbolic of the monkey man. If you can tame the monkey man and gain control of the man, the rogue aspect of the mind, then you begin to access information that other people can't.
Right, this is a good point. They said the Hanuman tribe was in Black Panther. Black Panther 1. I remember see. I didn't see Black Panther 2, but I remember in Black Panther 1 they were mentioned. Yeah.
Yeah. Also, what's my man name in BK and Biku was the king of the gorilla clan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Indeed.
So it's still now if you pay attention to the dynamic, they telling you in the theatrical performance that T'Challa, the Black Panther, aka Tupac, out of Oakland, is calling for the
No,
chief of the
it's
gorilla
Killmonger
clan.
out of Oakland, right? Killmonger was out of Oakland, right?
T'Challa was too.
Okay, I didn't. Okay, shit.
When you go to the beginning of the movie, they in Oakland, California, looking at a UFO. Or it might be the end of the movie, right? But that's because T'Challa father or uncle went to school there,
Mm-hmm.
right? T'Challa ended up moving there later, but Killmonger was an illegitimate son, but he was a rightful heir, right? Just because you the heir don't mean you're gonna take the throne. Because if you don't do what's required um, to show yourself approved, they're not gonna let you take the throne, even if they had to execute you. They're not putting no tyrants on the throne no more. That's a done deal.
Right, right. Wow. Let me get to a couple of questions that you got the chat. Boom. We got about 4,200 people in the chat. I want to get to a couple of questions from y'all. Before I do, I want to have Rod tie all of this together. And we're gonna talk about this Virgo season and things that's on on the way coming down now. So but before we do, make sure y'all put some questions in the chat. I do want to give y'all. I know y'all coming here deep to see Rod. I do want to give y'all an opportunity to ask the brother some questions. But Rod, I having a conversation. And try to keep it on the subject, y'all, because y'all start asking why my mama don't like me. You know what I'm saying? Why my mama
Yeah.
always mistreated me and shit. I'm not trying to, down that, but goddamn, at least try to keep it relatable to what we're talking about right now, family. Rod, man, you talking about shit is heating up. People feel it in the air. I had to talk with Phil a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, something is in the air. People could feel it. Um, we're programmed the atmosphere with certain thoughts, certain vibrations. It's only a matter of time before something happens, Rod. I talked to you. You said, Rich, something big gonna happen in Virgo season around August, September, October, around those months. Based on what you're seeing going on right now, Rod, let's talk about that. That's you. You made a lot of predictions, my brother. You made a lot of things that I didn't know if you was on it or not. Turned out that you was right. What's going on? What do you see happening this year during Virgo season? By the way, Virgos are the absolute best people on earth. I just want to say that to everybody.
Spoken like a true Virgo.
Man, I'm just
But
messing with
look,
y'all.
I didn't make predictions. I was reading the culture. I was reading the stars, and the story is there. So
Okay.
when you're reading the stars, you know that when certain stellar events happen, based on which constellation it is, it take a certain amount of time for that energy to reach Earth. That's called turnaround time. It's the same way when you do a manifestation. From the time you put it in the universe to the time that it returned back to you is called your turnaround time. So based on what I'm seeing with the Schumann resonance, the solar flares, the stellar alignments, the full moons, the eclipses, and all of this is calibrated that something of a massive proportion is going to touch down around Virgo between the end of August, September, early part of October. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't select 9/11 as a date again for a major event. But I don't know if it's going to be used to fearmonger. In other words, it'll be a tragedy, or to rejoice. In other words, it'll be a celebration. But it's going to be something polarizing within that time frame based on those alignments. Those are predictions. I'm just reading what the energy that takes to get here, right? Then we have this giant unidentified body sitting right outside the Earth's atmosphere they don't want to talk about, right? That's also a huge clue as to the signs of the times. You reading the signs, it's just like reading a book, but you have to train yourself how to read it. Some of us gets better at it over time, and some of us been knowing how to do it our whole life. But we didn't know what we was doing as children, but when we became adults, we started to understand it better. The women can tell you dates, but the men can't tell you the dates because they can't tune in that fine to give you the exact date of an event. The women mitochondrial open heart chakra in her uterus gives her like microscopic capabilities for reading the dates of the future in which a major event is going to take place, right? Some of us can read old prophecies, which is part of the plan. That's why they was calling them prophecies, because they prophets was about making profits. And as long as they profit generated a profit, then they begin to use them more and more to draw the plan out, because the more people focus on the manifestation of a prophecy, the more likely the prophecy is to materialize according to the laws of collective will, the mastermind group.
All right.
So,
You got
yeah.
good.
So around that time, By the way, what we seeing now, something major is about to shift. And I'm believing, based on what the conclusion of the continuity of government, that got something to do with the tribes.
Mm, mm. Somebody said 2 eclipses in September, September 7th and September 21st.
See?
It's good to know. It's good to know. It's good to know. All right. Let's get fam. Let's get to some Q&A from y'all. Let's see what y'all popping. Y'all 4,300 deep in here tonight. I did, and by the way, y'all, Dr. B most likely is gonna be on the mall. He was scheduled to be on today, but I want to talk about the whole Larry Hoover thing today. So I pushed it back. But tune in tomorrow. Dr. B should be here. Also, family, let me put myself on the camera real quick while I'm saying this. Yo, there is going to be a groundbreaking Patreon episode with Rod Hayes and Billy Carson. And I want the brothers to touch on the macabre. This thing we call them, or the Merkaba. And I know Billy talk about it. I know Rod talk about it. But if you're not on Patreon, this is going down next week. It's gonna be monumental, y'all. If you're not on Patreon, you're gonna want to get on Patreon. But it's gonna be Rod Hayes, Billy Carson next week. I gotta reach out to Billy too. I gotta call Billy. I ain't talked to Billy in a little while. By the way, Billy Carson gonna be at the Stone Mountain thing. So shout out to Billy. I gotta call him regardless anyway. So shout out to Billy. But next week, Patreon, Rod Hayes, Billy Carson is going down, family. Make sure you are a member and you're subscribed to watch that episode, because it's going to be absolutely historic, family.
Tell them again why we do Patreon, so because a lot of people be like,
yeah. You know, well, a lot of people be hating, so I'm not even addressing them. They just mad that they got to spend $2. But a lot of my videos with Rod, I'm gonna say I had videos with Rod. I had 3 videos with Rod that got taken down. I had about 4 videos from Dr. Phil Valentine. I had a video from RFG, The Chosen One.